Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24111.
Now, welcome back to the last hour of Tip Today on this Wednesday, the 18th of March, with Donald Doyle here in for Fran, who should be back tomorrow. As I said, we have a lot of questions came in for Dermot Good. We only got to a few due to the time constraints, but Dermot had good advice for everybody, and largely it was to give him a ring, put him under pressure and see what they can, if they can give you a better offer. In most cases, he reckons they can. Hopefully, if you want to get back, he'll be on again, and we'll get to more questions the next time he's on with Fran. Now, I'm delighted to be joined in studio by our Agony Aunt Phil this morning. Phil, good morning to you. How are you? How was your St. Patrick's Day?
Very quiet and relaxed, Donald. Now it was a nice old day.
I like the sound of relaxed.
Yeah. Didn't do anything much. It was grand.
Very good.
Yeah.
Any special St. Patrick's Day traditions for you?
None really. I suppose there was a time when I was on the council and that where there was an expectation that you'd be dressed up in your robes and doing parades and all sorts of things, and then up on the truck
judging,
doing views, which was lovely. But it's nice then to have the newer people doing all that and representing. So it's nice to take a break from it if you want to.
Very good.
Yeah, yesterday was a jammies day, really.
Oh, very nice. Yes, and it was kind of weather for it. I was out at the Thurles Parade and it was fairly Baltic, but the rain stayed away, which is the main thing. I think everyone's used to getting frozen at a Paddy's Day parade, but we have ways of warming up afterwards.
Well, there's ways and means.
Ways and means. Very good. Phil, we have a couple of questions for you today that I'm going to throw at you. I'm sure you know the drill and you're more used to it than I am, but we have a letter in, Phil, that says, Dear Phil, because that's the name of the slot. I'm writing because I feel deeply conflicted about something that's been weighing on me for a long time. I've been married to my husband for 15 years and in many ways I know how fortunate I am. He's a genuinely kind and supportive man who's always stood by me through life's ups and downs. He's patient, dependable and the sort of partner many people would feel lucky to have. The problem is that somewhere along the way I seem to have lost the feeling of attraction I once had for him. I care about him deeply and respect him, but the spark that used to be there isn't anymore and I can't help feeling terribly guilty. This makes it even harder because he hasn't done anything wrong. If anything, he's been nothing but good to me, which makes my feelings seem more unfair. I find myself worrying that there's something wrong with me or feeling this way after so many years together. I don't want to hurt him, this person says, and I certainly don't want to throw away a marriage based on friendship and loyalty, but at the same time she says she's struggling with the sense that part of me has drifted quietly away. Is this something that happens naturally in long marriages, or is it a sign that something deeper has changed? I would really value your advice on how to navigate these feelings without causing unnecessary pain to someone who has always been so good to me. A lot in that one, Phil. Where would you start?
Well, there's a lot in it, and I think there's always an element where we can start overthinking what's going on in a relationship. You're not going to have that spark and excitement of love's young dream and when you meet up first, when all the excitement is there. And I suppose we do get used to living with somebody, to being with somebody, to loving somebody, and it seems overall there's nothing whatsoever wrong with this marriage. There's a feeling that somehow she's missing out on some aspect of life. But I think everybody probably feels at some point that, you know, you can really, really love your partner and sometimes you could just give them a kick. You mightn't like them at all, and that's okay.
I will make no comment here.
There's no issue. It's not a wrong thing. You're just not going to feel that first flush of love and devotion and just being so into this person, because we all get used to our partners. We all get used to the same old thing. We get used to, you know, stability. We get used to having them there, and that's all the positive things. Some of the positive things is that they have other interests as well. They might be interested in doing other things other than you, or you might change or not feel as as fit as you used to be or whatever. But there's every issues in relationships that are long term. There is an element where you have to work at it. Sometimes you just have to decide to make a date night and go out on those nights and go out and have maybe something to eat or go and do something different than you would normally do. And it's like being back at love's young dream, and you just think, oh my gosh, wasn't it great when we didn't have children, or when we didn't have this, or we didn't have animals to be minding and all the rest of it. But really, there's nothing at all wrong with this relationship, and overthinking is not a good thing. To think that, oh, there has to be something more in life, because this is your life, and your life is about making the best of it. And she, there would be an element where she might decide she needs to go and talk to someone, maybe a counsellor or somebody that can advise her about what's the normality of relationships. But looking over at this letter, it seems like she has a very balanced relationship with a lovely man. So I would not over worry.
Yeah, well, I suppose there's two things. One, that she's got this fear of missing out, as you put it, but also then she's feeling guilty for, and we're assuming it's a she, because she does mention marriage, and it's 15 years, which would probably indicate it's a she. And she says
as well that he hasn't done anything wrong. If anything, he's been nothing but good to her, which makes my feelings seem more unfair. I find myself worrying that something is wrong with me for feeling this way after so many years together. And so
she does need to do something here, because she's got this guilt as well.
She's got the guilt, but the guilt is for no reason except that she doesn't feel that when she met this man and she adored, that she has the same feeling of adoration. We all get used to our partners when it's in a long term, and I think it's important, as I said, to do the date nights, or to do something nice for each other, to do something unexpected, or to just say, look, I really appreciate having you around, and you're I needed to talk to you about something, and you were really good in how you dealt with that. So there's nothing wrong with this relationship at all. It's completely normal.
Yeah, and your advice then is just to try and re-engage rather than allow it to drift apart.
Absolutely, just say to do the date nights, to decide that where if she has say a menu for a week, decide to spice it up. Whatever way you can take that, whatever way you like.
Oh, yeah?
But just, do something different. Put a bit more energy into something. Light a candle when, instead of maybe just setting the table or screeching at someone, come for your dinner, or it'll be in the dog. So, I think the relationship sounds pretty balanced, and don't overthink when something is fine. You're not going to be in the first flush of love and devotion all of the time. It would be so boring if we were like that. We should drive someone cracked.
Yeah. Well, it's unsustainable over the long term, we'd have to say. I have another one for you here, Phil. Dear Agony Aunt, I'm writing because I've found myself feeling increasingly lonely over the past few years. After caring for my elderly parents for a long time, I lost them both not so long ago, and now live alone in the family home. I do try to keep busy and get out when I can, whether that's walking into town, going to local events, or simply being around people. But what I would really like is to meet someone and build a relationship. I make an effort to look presentable and be polite and respectful when I meet women, but the truth is they never seem to be interested in me beyond any brief conversation. I've started to wonder whether the problem might be that I'm a bit old-fashioned in the way I approach things. I was brought up to be courteous and perhaps a little reserved, and I'm not the sort of person who feels comfortable with the more casual ways that people seem to meet and date these days. I worry that I might come across as awkward or out of step with modern expectations, even though my intentions are sincere. I'm not looking for anything extravagant, just companionship and someone to share life with. Do you have any advice for someone like me?
It's a very good question, and it's very well put. And this man seems to be quite balanced. Now, there's a whole lot of things that people can do in the hope of meeting somebody. But if you go in with the intention of, I need to meet someone now and I need to get into a relationship, it's kind of, you almost like fuss yourself out of doing that. Much better to go join a hill club, a hill walking club, a cycling club, go on wood walks, go to painting classes, go to night classes. They're all opportunities where you're there just to be yourself and see what the class is about, or the painting is about, or the walking is about, or what kind of group you have. When you don't overthink something, it can just evolve into, after the walk, you might go for a pint. You'll meet someone there or go for someone that walks with, and keep it light and keep it natural. If there is to be a relationship, that will fall naturally into place for this man. And I really would say that to get and expose himself to doing new things, which are oftentimes difficult for people, because if you're used to not walking, for instance, you just think, geez, I'll be dead if I go up to the top of that hill. I won't be, I'll be shook. You get used to everything. You have to do things incrementally and do what you can do. But there's an opportunity every time you go out with a group of people. There's an opportunity to be able to chat away. Don't go out with any preconceived ideas or looking for a relationship. That will happen naturally.
And this person seems to say that they don't like the idea of going on a dating app. I think that's what they're getting at. They're a bit old-fashioned and don't like it to be casual. You wouldn't be advising them to shake things up by doing something maybe out of their comfort zone like that. It
might not be a wrong thing, but it does seem like, this person seems to be quite sociable already. And I just think that sometimes if you're looking then to get very specific and say, I need to find a partner, someone I can give companionship to, they'll give it to me and we can develop into a relationship and it'll be meaningful and it'll be lovely. And that is what will happen most likely if you don't overthink it. And I think one of the worst things for people might be, you're thinking, here's this man coming down to talk to me now, and honest to God, I find him quite boring. And you either have to sort of say to yourself, it's nice to be nice. It's nice to be civil, and it's nice to be friendly, and it's nice not to be in a relationship if you don't choose it. And you can deal with that. And this man sounds bright and intelligent. And I think if he relaxes about the situation, a relationship can evolve for him at some point.
Yeah, I suppose the situation, of course, is very sad. He's been caring for his parents, lost both of them, probably, it sounds like, in quick succession.
It's such a big
and is
loss.
left now, wouldn't have been looking for a relationship, obviously, if they were focused on caring at the time, and now is there rattling around in an empty house with time on their hands
and that's it,
and a hole in their life.
And the fact that they lost both of them quite close together is a very, very seismic shift in what was normality for him. And of course an empty house where you still have all the pictures and you have all their belongings, you have everything that meant so much to you, and now that they are gone. But that is a fact of life. That will happen every one of us. So I would just say that go and walk, go to some classes, go to night classes, do something different and see how he gets on. But don't go from one thing to another in the hope that, somewhere I'll find somebody. That's not going to happen. It happens quite naturally. And do you know what? When you stop thinking about, I have to find a partner, it can happen quite naturally.
Yeah, so don't treat every woman you meet as the next Mrs. whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because that's putting pressure on them and you.
Well, it's also kind of, you're not getting to know somebody truly if you just identify them, say that's the person now I want to be with and whatever. Because most relationships, they can wax and they can wane for a while, and somebody can get back in touch and it can be very, very nice for them. But you can't just say, well, now I'm ready for a relationship, I'm going to go out, going to find a woman, she's going to be available and we're going to go out and then we're going to get married at the end.
That'd be very simplistic. All right. Look, so I suppose the advice is to relax into it, and keep getting out there,
and enjoy meeting people, and don't feel that you have to keep talking to just one person, because it can make them feel, oh gosh, they've really honed in on me now. Go and walk with different levels fall back now and again, fall forward now and again, go and talk to someone else, keep yourself nice and chatty and personable, and you know what, they'll meet whoever they want to meet.
Yeah, so you're saying to back off a little bit as well.
Yeah, and chill. Yeah. Because it's not all about, well, now my parents are gone, I need to find a partner. There's an evolvement here. It's very big loss to have lost your parents and then find that now the emptiness in the house is really rattling loud. So it is good that this person would start doing a few new things. Now, I don't mean that you should join, say, the walking club and the cycling club, and you should do all of that. You can go for a swim one day a week. You can go for, you can go to the cinema. It's okay to go to the cinema on your own. It's quite nice. Now, some people might find that a bit odd, but in fact, some people might just want to go and see a film and see what's like.
Not unusual about going to the cinema on your own. You can't talk in there anywhere. You shouldn't be.
Well, sometimes there's a lot of talking. But it's just that it's nice if you can do that and then just go maybe and have a pint on the way home, or not a pint, just go and have a drink or whatever, and just be kind of natural and don't get so focused and hung up on, gosh, I really need to be in a relationship now. It's like replacing the loss of his parents with just something that's going to keep him fulfilled and satisfied. Whereas this is another journey for him, really. Yeah,
fill the time some other way and the rest will come.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've one more for you, Phil, if you don't mind. Dear Phil, starts letter number 3. I'm writing about something I feel too embarrassed and confused to talk about with anyone in my life. Over the past few years, I've noticed myself becoming more and more afraid of things that never used to worry me. I find myself feeling anxious about ordinary situations like going shopping, socialising, or even just being around people. The strange thing is that I can't point to any particular event that caused it. The only change I can really identify is that I spend a lot of time scrolling through social media, doom scrolling, I think that is called, often reading worrying stories and arguments around the world and politics, I assume. I sometimes wonder if constantly taking in this kind of content has slowly made me more fearful without me realising it. Lately, I've also noticed that I feel uneasy about meeting people from overseas because of all of the heated talk about immigration online and in the news. What troubles me most is that this doesn't feel like the real me at all. I never personally had a bad experience with anyone from another country, and in the past I would have considered myself open-minded and friendly. Now I feel like my mind is filling with worries that don't match my values. I don't want to become someone who is constantly afraid of the world or of other people, and I would really appreciate your advice on how to break out of this pattern and feel more like myself again.
I think it's a really excellent letter, and it's about, I suppose, not getting value from her life. Now, the social media thing can drive you crazy, and I really think there should be a limiting on. The iPad should turn itself off, or your phone should turn itself off.
You can. There are apps that will do this for you, but sure, people don't do it, and they don't call it doom scrolling for nothing.
I know, but it is doom scrolling, and it can cause people to get very, very worried about something that really doesn't affect them directly, but they're allowing the effect of something that might be happening. Or Donald Trump has said something today and it's completely at variance with what we believe, or he starts a war, and then the consequences of that have an effect here on our economy, for instance. Like there's a back kick from that. But I would advise this woman to, first of all, to stop feeling embarrassed about feeling like this. There could be an element of a bit of anxiety or depression in the way she's talking, and definitely I'd say could help with a bit of counselling advice. And there are counsellors that are very good, that are free and available, and they really are very, very good people to deal with.
She actually says she is feeling anxious, so it is a bit of anxiety here.
Absolutely.
And actually, there is a lot of research saying that anxiety levels globally have been going up as we could become more and more exposed to and dependent on social media.
Exactly, and so there is an element with social media where you're being bombarded with kind of images and newses that really don't affect us, but they do affect us because we get very worried. For instance, like you think about if you have family elsewhere or in another country, and you think, what if they're invaded? What if this happens? What if that happens? And you can just get into a tizzy, and that's a feeding of anxiety. And the anxiety leads to more worries, and then you're worried about having anxiety, and then you're anxious because you're worried. And it's just, sometimes you need maybe to go and have some maybe short-term medication, which can be very, very good. If you say that you go to the doctor and say, I'm really not feeling myself at all, I'm worried and upset and frightened about things now, and I feel like I could need something. And you could say, can I try something for 12 weeks? And it can be something as a mild antidepressant where you feel that will help you get through it. Now, you don't want to get somebody into a cycle of saying,
medication.
well, I'm depressed now and I need medication. There are sometimes you just need something for a period of time, and then you start, when you take that medication, if it does what it says on the tin, you will begin to feel better. And the idea is that you're not going to be on this medication forever. You're going to be on it for a period of time. And if you feel better, start taking it every second day. Then go to every third day. And you can wean yourself off very easily by doing that. If you feel you need to go back on it, go back on it. It shouldn't be an issue. But there are people that are anxious because doom scrolling, as you call it, which is very relevant, is a real thing where you see something you might never normally have heard. We're hardly listening. We're consumed by iPads and our iPhones and having to have our phone with us every second. And it's almost like, I went off the other day and left my phone behind me. I wasn't a bit bothered about not having my phone because I just thought to myself, shit, that's grand. That's one less thing I'm looking at now.
There's very few people would say they're fine with leaving their phones behind nowadays.
Yeah, I know, but it's just sometimes that it's nice to feel that you can do that. You're not married to your phone. But it is, people are very, very stuck on phones. We all have them. I have it here on the desk. Now it is turned off right enough, but there is, for this person, this kind of element of depression and anxiety that can be solved. And as I explained in going on medication for a short term, there's a way of getting off of that medication again, and it works very, very well.
Yeah, so look, a chat to the GP is really the first
GP, or even what they do now is they have advanced nurse practitioners, and they're able to go and do the prescribing and the medication, and then send you texts every so often, say, how are you doing? And if you need to call into us, please do. But it's one of those texts that you can't reply to, and you just call into the GP and say, or to the advanced nurse practitioner and say, I'd like to have a chat with them again.
Yeah, and it's not something like any mental health issue isn't something to be embarrassed about. It's one of the first things they said in this letter.
It's a very common thing. A lot of people say, I'm too embarrassed or confused to talk about with anyone in my life. And it is being too embarrassed. That's the basic problem, isn't it? They're on their phone, but they're not talking to people in their actual life. They're becoming isolated, and that's feeding the anxiety. Yeah, and you're exactly right about feeding anxiety. And there is a way. Sometimes you just have to action that and see, what do I need to do about this? Or you might decide, I'm going to give myself a half an hour on this, looking at this, and then I'm putting that away. And you need to be able to put that thing down.
Yeah, that's easier said than done. My first mobile phone was a work phone, so in the early days I used to be very good. I said, just turn it off.
Yeah.
Because I would when I wasn't working or on call. But nowadays, nobody turns their phone off unless it runs out of battery.
Yeah, well, this is it. And then you have the whole thing, where have I got a charger?
Yeah.
And now, of course, they've chargers for everything.
Yeah. Look, Phil, good advice there. Look, it's not something to be embarrassed about, and you do need to talk to somebody about it. So if you're not going to talk to your friends or family, just have a quick chat with your local doctor's surgery, and they should be able to help you out. Phil, thanks very much for coming in and being a rock of sense.
Dawn, it's a real pleasure to be with you today.
No problem.
And hope everybody is okay with the chats.
Okay, thank you very much, Phil. We better go to an ad break, folks, but we'll be back after this.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.